Good week and a good weekend. Last week we got to celebrate the 4th of July here in Jonesborough and had a great Jonesborough days, and followed it up with a great music on the square and good brews and tunes. It's been a good last 8 days in Jonesborough, so let's continue that on in 2021. First thing on our agenda tonight is a public hearing. It's an ordinance rezoning certain property along Boones Creek Road from R4, which is Transitional Residential District, to PRD, Planned Residential Districts. Anyone here to speak for that or against? Yes, sir.
My name is John.
Just state your name and address. And
My name is Jonathan Lewis. I live at 4605 Bristol Highway in Piney Flats, and I'm the engineer for the property owner. And just wanted to let you know I'm here if there's any questions or anything that I can answer.
Okay, appreciate you coming back. I think we had a good discussion the last time you was here. Anyone else? All right, very good. So I'll close that public hearing. We'll move into our regular meeting. And first thing on the agenda there is our opening prayer, and Vice Mayor Dixon will lead that.
Let's all pray. Dear God, we thank you for all your wonderful blessings. We thank you for this day that you've allowed us to see. We thank you, God, for the health that you've provided. We thank you, Lord, for just these past few days that we were able to celebrate freedom. We were able to celebrate community. We were able just to enjoy fellowship one more time. God, we made it through a rather difficult chapter. Some people did not make it. And God, we're just grateful to you that we made it. We're thankful. We're very appreciative for our friends, our neighbors. We're very thankful for this community in which we live. God, we ask that you guide this meeting this evening, our deliberations. Pray that everything will be decent and in order, and we'll glorify you. These things we ask in your name. Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Adam. Ruth, who do you have for the pledge tonight?
Dean Chester.
Oh, ours why he's here.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dean. All right, Madam Recorder, roll call, please.
Mayor Best.
Here.
Alderman Callahan.
Here.
Alderman Causey.
Here.
Alderman Countermine.
Here.
Alderman Dixon.
Here.
All right, we're all present and accounted for. We've got a pretty good little consent agenda here, but there's a couple of little changes to it. Just one, I guess, on 7D, Alderman, appointment of a part-time worker in the Water Administration Office. That's just to appoint the worker, but not the job description. Is that right, Glenn?
Is that right?
Is that good? All right. All right. Anything, Alderman, you want to pull from that to discuss? If not, I'll take a motion to approve our consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion to approve from Alderman Callahan.
Second.
Second from Alderman Dixon. Call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Callahan.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
All right, very good. That consent agenda, I always like to call out a couple of things that are in there, just so you know what was going on there. But basically, just had about 3 or 4 personnel things in there with appointing some new employees and retirement of someone. But we also got rid of, or going to get rid of, 2 surplus vehicles, and they're going to be sold on Gov Deals. And we got some old radios we're going to get rid of. So we try to get every dollar out of everything we can. That's I think Craig does a good job there, and him and his team. All right, now we move into our regular agenda, financial report. One thing I always like to talk about in our financial report, it's we're doing well in the town of Jonesborough, and I think we got more good things in the future. But our sales tax collections continues to be strong. Last month I said was the record month for the town of Jonesborough. And then we followed up this month with the second best. We didn't beat last month, but I tell you, when we're over $200,000 in sales tax collection in Jonesborough, it's an impressive thing. So you all just keep spending that money, okay? But proud of our town and proud of our merchants. You know, they're the ones that produce that, and really, I think I said at Music on the Square, how attractive our town is. It really just brings people to us, and that's what generates the sales tax dollar. So the personality of our town is just impressive. Alderman, you got any comments about the financial report?
You know, I was really excited, Mayor, to see the depot museum reserve. It seemed like when we first started the depot, I was a little concerned about their long-term success. Seemed like, where was the revenue going to come from? But they had a fundraiser and raised a little more than $7,600, a little more than that.
Yeah. And
so it seems like now the depot's in very good shape. And I was curious too about any numbers regarding the water park. We saw a couple of sentences saying that there were some really good days at the park.
For the month of June, the water park actually broke $200,000. 217 and change.
That's outstanding.
Since I've been here for 10 years, that's the highest month of June we've ever had.
That's outstanding.
Well, that bodes well for July.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I was there yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
It was great.
Yeah. What did Glenn look like in his trunks?
I was prohibited from putting on trunks.
Thank you, Matt.
Alderman, any other comments about the financial report?
Move to approve.
All right, motion to approve from Alderman Countermine.
Second.
Second from Alderman Callahan. Any other discussion? Call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Callahan.
Aye.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Now we got communications from myself, and I've kind of touched on a few of them already, but really just tickled to death with the staff we have here at the town of Jonesborough, whether it's from our street guys and our partner recs. They really do a great job getting ready for all these events. Then Cameo, doing a great job as tourism director. But on Music on the Square, Amber Crumley kind of took over that while Cameo was out of town, and she did a great job. And it was good to see how excited she was to be part of that Music on the Square. And had Sam Loves, a new director for Music on the Square, is doing a great job. He's doing really well at Brews and Tunes. So I think we're in good hands into the future. And I had a chance to actually to thank Steve Cook, who gave us over 20 years of service at Music on the Square. We gave him a few little parting gifts, but he didn't really part ways. He kind of stayed up there with us for a while, and he's going to come back and see all the Music on the Square performances. But we had Trey Hensley in town. He's a local guy and living in Nashville now and playing at the Opryland on occasion, and just an outstanding performer. He brought some guys with him that were just great too. That John Ivey, I think it was, can play that fiddle like no other. And but really impressive people, and it was a great night. And there's no better place to be on a Friday night at about 9 o'clock when the sun goes down and those lights kick on Main Street. And you got a little live music going, and people sitting out there just enjoying it and soaking it all in. Just a beautiful sight. So if you didn't come, every Friday, probably for the next couple months, make sure you're there. And I think Terry passed on some stuff to us about wetlands and the water park, and I'll let him talk about that. Hopefully he'll bring that up during his comments. But next thing I'd like to talk about is our Employee of the Month. And we've got a good one. So, William Bebo Russell, come forward.
Bebo.
Bebo is the hardest working guy in town.
He never stands still.
I know it. He let you hold that. I always like to point out, too, that I coached him in baseball, and he was a catcher, and he worked just as hard as a catcher in baseball. I love that. Here's what they said about you, Bebo. As we all know, Jonesborough Parks and Recreation is typically hard at work during the spring and summer months. With the athletic programs, water park, and miles of green spaces, and the parks we are tasked with attending to, it is an extremely tough task to keep all things in the shape we expect here in Jonesborough. It is with this in mind that I would like to recognize Bebo and his hard work and dedication. His work ethic and drive are second to none. He puts in countless extra hours to ensure our town has the best possible look. When you factor in our department is responsible for the upkeep of 9 parks, the grounds downtown, and the multiplying outlying green spaces, It really makes you appreciate what a valuable asset Bebo is to our town. Over the last 2 weeks, we have been focused on the long and difficult task of cleaning up the 11E medians, which are visible to all who visit Jonesborough. Bebo was the driving force in getting these 13 medians back in shape and ready for the crowds we are expecting for Jonesboro Days and our events. Without his presence, we would not have been able to complete this important project to the level at which it sits. Bebo is without a doubt one of the hardest working individuals I have ever had the pleasure of working with. Plus, when you factor in his willingness to interact as an ambassador for Jonesboro with passerbyers, co-workers, and the public in general, you can easily see why our department holds him in such high regard. It is for those reasons, and countless others, I proudly nominate William Bebo Russell as Employee of the Month. All right, Bebo, what do you got to say to us?
Been a long year,
Yeah.
long last year. We're just grinding. That's all we need to do. Every day.
Ring the rag.
That's it.
How long have you been with the town now?
13.
Yeah.
So, March 8th.
We've been blessed by those 13 years. We
That's
appreciate
it.
it.
Thank you.
All right, Alderman, next thing I've got, we need to set a couple of dates for our budget workshops. And Glenn, is there too early or too late we need to stay away from? Is next week too early?
I would say at least 10 days from now would be enough.
Okay. Alderman, what do you think about July the 21st? That's a Wednesday.
I'm actually booked that day.
Okay.
Sorry.
What's a good day for folks? Let's throw them out there.
I don't know if these are good days, but I've got July 22nd, I think 20. No.
Thursday?
Oh, yeah, that's historic zoning. No, I can't do that. 26th.
Yep, that works.
I'm looking over at
In the
my
morning
assistant.
or at night?
I can do any time that's workable with.
I'm wide open.
What's better, night, evening?
It's easier nights for me because of bed's
That would be better.
Well, what would be a good time for
That-
June?
That's the night of.
6:30, 7.
Radio, 10th-year anniversary.
The 26th is.
Yeah,
26, what's going on?
it's the 10th-year anniversary of Storytown, I believe. The Jules does.
What time do they do that?
It's at 6 o'clock.
Oh, is it?
What does the 28th look like?
Thinking about the evening, 6 o'clock.
Good for me.
28?
6 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock on 28. All right, we'll get together that night and crunch some more numbers. All right, Alderman, that's all I've got. I'll turn it over to you. Any of you all have any communications, anything you want to share with the town? Terry, I know you had a nice email you shared with us. You want to?
Yeah, I got a local citizen said, and I'll read it. It said, "Dear Terry, recently I recommended the water park to friends who were taking care of their grandchildren visiting. Later I asked them how they liked the water park. They responded very positively. A true family environment where everyone was getting along and having a good time. Grounds were well kept, pleasant environment, lifeguards were wonderful, attentive and professional, other staff very nice. It was a great experience. Their grandchildren wanted to return and will, and next year they're even thinking about getting an annual pass." Kudos to the park staff, so that was,
No doubt. I
it's
think
nice to get emails like that from people who have visited from out of town, so another reflection on the parks. And I'd like to repeat what's already been said, this last couple weeks here in Jonesboro has been excellent. I had family and friends from out of town, and they just, every time they come, they're very impressed.
Well, that was one thing we thought was important this year, kicking, wetlands back open. We wanted to do it right, and Craig and the street and park staffs all got together and really did a great job down there. And think there's still a few little things they want to finish up, but it looks great compared to
Looks very good.
what it was in the past, and it wasn't bad in the past. We just made it a lot better. Adam, got anything you want to share?
Just great things in Jonesboro. You couldn't have put an order in for the weather. Weather was just perfect, and just really proud of the people that make up town staff. Just an outstanding job. People really enjoyed themselves. Of course, there's that desire to get out and just socialize. But Jonesboro really reminded me of Jonesboro days of old.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it was just really good to see that dynamic in Tennessee's oldest town. So thank you all.
Thanks, Adam. Stephen, you got anything for us?
Yeah, I do, actually. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay.
I don't think it's a big secret. There was an article in the Herald and Tribune last week, I believe it was. I kind of just like to clear the air and hopefully put this thing to bed. I don't think I'm the first one to have an argument with a neighbor in Jonesboro. But, I'd like to, formally apologize to Marcy. And, I met with her on her porch last week, and we had a really good meeting. Really sorry for any friction it caused in the town. Our business is doing really well, thank goodness. And, things just kind of spiraled out of control. But anyway, I guess I just wanted everybody to know in town that, Marcy and I have met. We've picked a path forward, and I think it's a good path. I look forward to being neighbors with Marcy for a long time, especially since we're getting ready to redo the Parsons table up there. And so that's where I'm at. The other thing I'd like to talk about is the citation I got a few weeks ago. It's also mentioned in the article there. We did get a citation, and we do have a court date, and we will have our date in court, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm really proud of the town. Happy to be part of the town. Tennessee Hills is proud to be part of the town. Proud to be part of the board. You guys are a bunch of great guys and women. So, but that's all I got to say. Thank you,
All
guys.
right, buddy.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. We love you here in Jonesboro. And
Yeah.
appreciate you taking the time to say that. We'll do whatever we can for you, and I'm sure it's all going to work out. None of us are perfect. Virginia, you got anything you want to share?
I had some compliments on the parade where they were lining them up. They said that there was one person up here that was putting the walkers in that was super nice, and I assumed that was Bebo, because they were talking about what a personality that man had. And, you don't find that very often, especially as busy as they were. I said it was either Matt or Bebo. That was the only two I could think of. And I would like to say thank you for Stephen for apologizing.
All right. Thank you, Virginia. Thank you, Alderman. Appreciate all of that. All right, next thing is town attorney comments. Jim, you got anything you want to share with us?
Yes, sir, Mayor. A couple of things. First of all, you all may or may not recall a presentation we had from Branstetter, Stranch, and Jennings, a law firm in Nashville. But they are representing the town in the lawsuit against Endo Pharmaceuticals for opioid losses or related losses. We, in the course of that representation, they have also, as you may recall, they represent a number of entities, including the county. They have also been monitoring the Purdue Pharma bankruptcy. You may recall that they're one of the larger opioid manufacturers, and they've been in bankruptcy. That in that bankruptcy, there's now a proposed plan to settle with entities like us for $4.5 billion. That money, there's no way to know at this point how that will end up divided. So they have actually now made an appearance for us and will need to vote on our behalf. So they've asked the mayors to communicate to them, but you all have to be the ones in Jonesboro to make that decision. So I am recommending that you agree with this, because short of doing this, we vote no, and then we're stuck with where do we go from there, and we're not gonna fight Big Pharma by ourselves, of course, so they're not the plaintiff's attorneys in this. There's a much larger law firm, or group of law firms actually, that have represented the plaintiffs and have reached this settlement, proposed settlement. So the court will look at it in August. We got actually a notice to the town for the bankruptcy hearing, but we won't attend that. The plaintiff's attorneys, of course, will advise the court how many entities have voted yes, how many no, and how many just haven't voted. But it fit within the time frame of this meeting for you all to consider this, and I would recommend you doing that. And we'll see how small the check ends up by the time they whittle away at that 4.5 billion. That money, this is something I'm not sure whether you all are up to speed on or not, but there was some legislation this year that got passed that will pull that money to the state. So
Yeah.
the state's going to take their share first. So now largely our representatives worked hard to increase the portion that the state's attorney general wanted. Local governments he wanted to give us like maybe a few dollars, and they fought hard to increase that to a relatively reasonable amount. But that, again, we just don't know until we get a check down the road. But I would recommend that you add that to your agenda and pass that. And then, Mary, I don't know if this is where you want to add the K-9 agreement after that, but.
Well, let's add both of them. Yeah, if you want to touch on that, we'll just try to do both of them after your presentation.
Second thing is, you have in front of you a memorandum of understanding for the purchase of a K-9 for the contribution made to the town, or to be made to the town. I think this agreement incorporates the terms that the person who's making the gift wanted. I'm not sure, Ruth may know whether that's appropriate to identify them tonight and show appreciation.
I see no reason to.
Okay. So that contribution is from Becky Frazier, and that's a pretty significant contribution made to purchase a K-9. So we'd ask that you add that K-9 agreement to your agenda as well, and then vote separately on those two items.
Okay, that first item, you want to tell us what you need that motion to?
That would be a motion to authorize the mayor to vote yes to the proposed Purdue Pharma settlement.
All right, Alderman, you see the two recommendations from Jim. The first motion would be to authorize the mayor to vote yes on this agreement he brought forward. And also, next item would be to agree to the memorandum of understanding on the purchase of the K-9. Becky Frazier has been a good friend of the Paws in Blue. Got involved in it a couple years ago, I think, and she's followed through on what she wanted to do. And they're great supporters of our town of Jonesborough, and we're certainly glad they're taking up the K-9 programs. So, Alderman, someone can make a motion to add those two items to our agenda.
So moved.
I got a motion to approve Alderman Dixon. Got a second from Alderman Countermine. All right, those items are on our agenda now. Let's take need to take a motion to allow mayor to sign and vote yes to add Jonesborough to that lawsuit.
Mayor, you need a vote on adding it to the agenda.
Yeah.
You have a motion in a second.
Okay. All right, call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Callahan.
Aye.
Alderman Causey.
Ah,
All right, now we can move forward. All right. Do I have a motion to add the first item? Make a motion to approve, I guess the first item would be the mayor voting yes.
So moved.
Motion to approve from Alderman Countermine,
Second.
second from Alderman Callahan. Any discussion on that? Call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Callahan.
Aye.
Alderman Causey. Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
All right, got that. Our memorandum of understanding, if I can get a motion to approve us entering into that with Becky Frazier.
So moved.
Motion to approve from Alderman Causey,
Second.
second from Alderman Dixon. Any discussion? Call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Callahan.
Aye.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. So appreciate you, Alderman, and Jim and Miss Frazier. All right, next, Jim, anything else?
No, sir.
Is that it? All right. Next item on our agenda is our citizens' comments. If you're a resident of Jonesborough or one of our water customers and would like to get up and speak to the board and citizens, let's do it. All right, Gary, state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Gary Degner, and I live at 61 New Halifax Street in Jonesborough. And the first thing I want to say is that I really want to thank the town for having super Jonesborough Days. But also, the idea of splitting up the fireworks, I think, was a terrific idea, because we went behind the senior center, and it got to be just about standing room only there, which normally you could barely see them from where they were before. But having it split up like that, I think, was a tremendous idea, and I hope we continue doing that type of a thing in the future.
I agree with you. Thanks for bringing that up, and thanks to our sponsor. I guess Wolf Development is one of the sponsors on that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Thanks, Gary. Anyone else? All right. We'll continue moving on. We'll go into our old business. First item on the old business is discussion and possible action concerning second and final reading of an ordinance rezoning certain property along Boone's Creek Road from R4 to PRD. We had that public hearing a little earlier on that, and I think we had a good meeting before. And we like the PRD zone in Jonesborough, and I think it's appropriate for there. Alderman, you got anything to discuss on that? Glenn?
I just had one where it says on the front under background, it says north, south, east, west. On the part that says west, it says to the west is Boone's Creek Road and R4. That R4 tract on the west was actually rezoned from R4 to PRD, I think just before the original agenda went out. So I just want to correct the west to include instead of R4 or PRD.
Okay. I'll let the record reflect that.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve from Alderman Countermine,
Second.
second from Alderman Callahan. Any discussion? Call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Callahan.
Aye.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. We've got a new development coming. Wish you guys luck down there. It's a beautiful place to be building. All right, next item on the agenda is into our new business, is discussion and possible action concerning special event application request. We've got 3 of them there. We've got the Goose Chase Half Marathon, for those who like to chase goose, and the 2021 Storytelling Festival, and Movies on Main. Alderman, you got anything you want to discuss about those?
You know, I was kind of curious. Is Jeff comfortable just doing 3 activities based on the write-up? I mean, knowing that there's already conflicts with some of the dates that he's proposed, is he comfortable with just doing 3?
So I emailed Mr. Gurley, it's probably a couple weeks ago at least. He answered emails to me. He did. It's probably being recorded right now, so, and on live TV. So, so the conflicts were in there, the ones that we had and that's in the agenda. The only one that he mentioned was the 5K Pioneer Run, and talking to public safety, it is a conflict to have both the Movies on Main and then the Pioneer Run, because they do have an after race event. So other than that, I did not hear anything as far as not wanting to, pursue the other dates. The only one that I mentioned in the agenda presentation was the one that would be for this Saturday, whether or not the board wants to consider or not, just because of the close proximity of the meeting to that. But
I would like to say that I think we need to enforce either a 30-day window for special events to be submitted, and if they're not submitted within that length of time, then they need to be put on, because it makes it hard. I know from being there myself, it's hard on staff to go through those. So I think we need to look at the special events ordinance and change that to at least 30 days.
I think it says 90 right now, right?
Yeah, it
it's
says
probably
90
too long
now.
now.
And 90 is a little too much.
I think, I agree with you there.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, we could probably make that part of the motion if we could always agree to approve these three, and then within that, say, going forward, we're going to
Right, not on these, but
look
going
at
forward.
changing our application to 30 days.
We'd actually need to do an ordinance, but
Yeah.
that'd be fine to instruct us to do that. Would
Okay.
be fine. I think that's a good idea.
I like the idea, and
Mayor, I do have two other issues that need to change on the recommendations. One, on the Storytelling Festival, their insurance and hold harmless are in order, so that can just be straight approved as far as that's concerned. On the Goose Chase Half Marathon and on the Movies on Main, they both need to be subject to the insurance and hold harmless. Movies on Main submitted, if you looked at your packet close enough, they submitted both, but they're neither one correctly done, so they're going to need to redo those. We'll send a letter to them if you'll pass it subject to those two things.
okay. On that Movies on Main, is this, I guess Cameo's not here to speak to it, and the ones, I know we did that Movies on Main drive-in style that, Adam birthed, and I thought it was a great little thing. Is that something we're going to get away from, you think, Glenn?
Yeah, I think with the I mean, you can see how Friday and Sunday are and the amount of people. So yeah, we thought with Jeff submitting that gap, we were going to go with that this season.
Okay. Okay, Alderman, if there's no more discussion, we could take a motion to approve the three special event application requests, noting that the Storytelling Festival is in order, noting that the Goose Chase Marathon and Movies on Main are subject to insurance and hold harmless agreements, and instruct staff to change the special event application request to 30 days and bring that back to us.
Mayor, is the recommendation to start the Movies on Main July 24th?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that good? So if I can,
On the 30 days, is that from when we address it or from when the application gets in? Because since we make the second Monday of each month, and however that's written, the people should be aware of that.
Right.
Because if they submit it in the middle of the month thinking they're gonna do it in the middle of the next month, when we get it, it'll only be 2 weeks away.
I would say within 30 days of the event,
30 days of the board meeting.
board meeting. That works.
So it could be 2 months. That's the,
So like, for instance, Mr. Gurley submitted, I think it was June 25th, but I think he actually didn't submit it until June 30th. So if we went by his application, it was June 24th. You're almost, from the time it actually would, the first one would be is almost 30 days.
Yeah.
So that does need to be clarified. And I can communicate with the board as we work on an amendment on
yeah.
the language.
We can come up with what days work best there. We just don't want it to be a week or something like
It
that.
probably discourages more the knee-jerk reaction
Yeah.
to apply for a special event.
Okay, so we'll negotiate that length of time during establishing that ordinance. Can I get a motion to approve those events?
So moved.
Motion to approve from Alderman Causey,
Second.
second from Alderman Countermine. Any other discussion? Call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Callahan.
Aye.
Alderman Dean.
All right, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is discussion and possible action concerning a resolution authorizing the town to participate in the fiscal year 2021-22 Public Entities Partners, Safety Partners Matching Grant Program, which is something I think we often do. You see the recommendation is to participate in that, and it's a little grant application for about $2,000 I think we're open to. And we've been fortunate over the last few years to have been awarded this grant, so we'll go for it again.
Move to approve, Mayor.
Got a motion to approve from Alderman Dixon,
Second.
second from Alderman Callahan. Any discussion? Call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Callahan.
Aye.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Counterman.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, next item on the agenda is discussion and possible action concerning approval of a change order, JRT-003, for the JRT Building Improvement Project. Glenn, is that something you want to address for us?
Sure, Mayor. As you know, several months ago, as part of the JRT renovation, through the Sonia King Trust, it was obligated $325,000. As with any other, all older buildings and the historic downtown, they run into a lot of different issues. As such, that the project has grown larger, but we've been pretty adamant. I've been adamant that the board had originally approved $325,000. In talking to the JRT president, Kelly Wolf, who had talked to Wade, and Wade Farmer is the one that, through Blackburn Childers and Stegall, is the ones that basically provide us the reimbursements for the projects, which we are up to date on. There's one more reimbursement that was provided last week. There are funds available through the Sonia King to continue the project if it was to go beyond $325,000. But basically, the background and narrative that I've provided you is to hopefully make you rest assured that we are accounting for the monies, and as I see it getting towards the $325,000 mark, you'll be notified immediately, and of course I'll be notifying Mr. Farmer as well. So this summarizes where we are with change orders. I wanted to say up till today, but I'm sure there's a couple more out there. And the goal is, of course, that the JRT, just like we've talked about the Jackson, that the JRT is open for business and that they're back in their home sometime very soon.
Well, we need that. As good as they are, I don't like them over in Elizabeth, and even though it's nice to be sharing them, I guess, we want them back.
Yeah, as you've noticed, the crowds that are coming to Jonesborough, people love Jonesborough. One thing, we are sharing others, and we're selfish about sharing our folks, but I think it is, yes, I think it's giving the performance bug to others to eventually come back over here, which we get a lot of people from that are outside of Jonesborough. So we do want them back home, but this cleans up the change orders.
All right, thanks, Glenn. Alderman, you got any questions for Glenn or Craig about this? If not, I can take a motion to approve recommendation.
So moved.
Motion to approve recommendation, Alderman Callahan.
Second.
Second from Alderman Causey. Any other discussion, Alderman? Call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Callahan.
Aye.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Counterman.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
All right, discussion and possible action concerning first reading of an ordinance adopting the 2018 building codes. And that was an exciting read. I know most municipalities are going through doing that now. I've always had something when I see it. I always think about when we're doing a lot of building in Jonesborough, and we collect these building permit fees. I always feel like we're underpriced somewhat there. I don't know if that's something maybe we want to look at in the when we start putting the orders together.
We can look through that before second reading.
Okay. And I got some ideas on that, so I'll pass those on to you.
I do want to mention one thing. If you would, as far as my background is information on ADA, it's a 2010 version, and we've already adopted that a few years ago. So the 2010, I took it out of the rest of the text, but I forgot to remove it from here. So it's really just the 2018 editions that's part of your package.
Okay.
But ADA, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen has already adopted that, the 2010, and that is still the current ADA edition.
All right, thanks, Glenn. Alderman, you got any questions about that?
Mayor, one of the things, speaking of reads, and I'll first say I didn't draft the title of this ordinance. I'll give credit to the newer town peril lawyer for doing that. But our charter does say that the ordinance caption needs to be read.
Okay.
Can I read it? Where's the mayor? Okay.
I will read it here. An ordinance adopting the International Building Code 2018 edition, the International Residential Code 2018 edition, the International Fire Code, the 2018 edition, the International Mechanical Code, the 2018 edition, the International Fuel Gas Code 2018 edition, the International Existing Building Code 2018 edition, the 2018 Energy Conservation Code, and the 2018 International Plumbing Code. Is that what you need, Jim?
Yes, sir.
All right. I tell you, but every time I say international, I was like, I don't know what they're doing overseas. I don't want that. All right. Can I get a motion to approve that?
So moved.
A motion to approve from Alderman Countermine, a second from Alderman Dixon. Any discussion? Call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Callahan.
Aye.
Alderman Causey.
All right, motion carried. Pass that down to Glenn there. It's just, we've got like a little scale, I think, on building permit fees, and I almost think we could go to a flat fee, and
I thought it was a pass the hat
Yeah.
thing. Give
that
money.
comes next. That's at Music on the Square. We did. We passed the hat at Music on the Square and collected $1,600. That's pretty good, passing the hat. We had well over 1,000 people there. D.W. Cooper there at the hemp shop, he said he sold over 220 ice cream cones. And so I know Texas Burrito did well. I told Mr. Cooper at the hemp shop, I said he needs to start learning to make funnel cake, because during Jonesboro days, the funnel cake line was all the way down Main Street. So it was really impressive. He's going to try. If there's hemp flour and it can bake into a funnel cake, I think he's going to give it a shot. All right, last item, no, not the last item, we got several of them here. Discussion and possible action concerning approval of a contract agreements with Community Development Partners and GRW Engineers for the EDA project number 04-01-07624. Glenn, you want to touch on that for us, please?
Sure. So this is the EBM PAPS project. I was trying to think how long ago it was on the grant. I think it was May of 2020, if I remember. Probably my first meeting. The EDA grant was for water, sewer, or utilities for this plant that is coming into the industrial park. And it's a 50-50 match. It's a great company, great expansion possibilities. Well over 100 employees. They have different timelines that they have goals for. This project basically is in the stages to where, as part of the preliminary engineering report, that Community Development Partners and GRW were the instrumental folks that put this program together to get it approved by the state. So this is basically to where the board has the opportunity to enter into the agreement with both parties. Community Development Partners is separate, and GRW to do the engineering services. Community Development Partners will do the administration of the grant. These figures that are before you were the part of the preliminary engineering report and the amounts that were sent to the state in order to get the grant in the first place. So they're exactly what they had projected as their budget, and that's what's before you.
Yeah, they're gonna be a great addition to Washington County. I know Mayor Grandy's here tonight, and that's probably one of the first things he did when he came aboard there as mayor. So it's a good welcome for him. Appreciate his work on it. Alicia Summers with NetWrap, she's been instrumental in that as well. And the town of Jonesborough, we're an important partner there at the industrial park, and this is another bright spot for Washington County. Alderman, you got any comments about that? If not, I can take a motion to approve recommendation 1. That's the one with Community Development Partners, in the amount of $35,000.
So moved.
Motion to approve from Alderman Causey.
Second.
Second from Alderman Countermine. Any discussion, Alderman? Call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Callahan.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
All right, and that motion carried. Now we'll move into recommendation number 2 with GRW Engineers in the amount of $90,000. Take a motion for that.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve from Alderman Dixon.
Second.
Second from Alderman Countermine. Any discussion? Call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Callahan.
Aye.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, we got about 4 more left here. And next item on the agenda is discussion and possible action concerning first reading of an ordinance replacing Title 13, Chapter 2, Sewer and Wastewater Treatment in its entirety. You want to touch on that, Glenn?
Not tonight, but. Yes, Mayor. So periodically, I think Coburn is here too, if you have any more technical questions. But from time to time, based on information that we receive as far as state limits, we have to amend our ordinance, which is the sewer use ordinance. I'm guessing we have to hey, Jim, do we have to read the ordinance caption?
We will before
Okay.
they vote. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So basically, it's Title 13, Chapter 2, Sewer and Wastewater Treatment of Jonesborough Municipal Code in its entirety. If you look through your, I'm sure, lengthy ordinance, you'll see in red the amendments that we had to update as part of this ordinance, and then I can't remember what page it's on that actually details the actual chemicals.
What, 13,208?
13. That's probably the most significant of the pages. Yes. So you got your monthly average, and then you have your daily maximum loads, and those numbers are the ones that were updated, and when passed, these are the ones that would become part of the ordinance.
All right, very good. This will be on first reading, so we will be back to address this again. Let me read the ordinance. It's an ordinance replacing Title 13, Chapter 2, Sewer and Wastewater Treatment of the Jonesborough Municipal Code in its entirety. So Alderman, I'll take a motion to approve that recommendation.
So move.
Motion to approve from Alderman Callahan,
Second.
second from Alderman Causey. Call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Callahan.
Aye.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Next item on the agenda is discussion and possible action concerning first reading of the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget amendments for the general, drug, and solid waste funds. And Glenn did us a nice write-up in that, but it looks like we had a solid year out of our department heads managing their budgets. But Glenn, anything you want to touch on there?
No, I think overall, the department heads did a really good job. Of course, the town recorder keeps everybody in their lane. Well, so do other department heads, but she does a great job. Some of note is probably some of the numbers look a little bit not off, but maybe inflated. And some of those I explained that was part of our refunding plan, and so there was an expenditure side that actually paid off debt, and so it looks like it wasn't a purchase. It was just you have to show it as an expenditure. But other than that, overall, everything did really well. As mentioned before, wetlands needed a facelift, so we were able to pivot and look at the fund before the end of the year. We did very well on that. Solid waste did very well, but we were in a position where we had to get another garbage truck and got a great deal on that, so we had to transfer some funds, and that shows up as an expenditure as well, as $60,000 out of the solid waste reserve fund. But overall, everything, as far as departments, and did really well.
All right, very good.
Where are we on recycling? I keep getting calls.
Yeah, so that's that'll be in our budget.
So
One
when
thing
will we
is,
start?
I'd say as soon as we can get the budget passed.
What, and
The plastics, we have an agreement, contract, or basically agreement with Eastman as part of their, I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, but basically a large program where they're collecting plastics. So
That's good.
we've done really well on that as far as what they're paying us for that type. But yeah, recycling will be is in the budget. So in the workshop, we'll go into more detail.
Thank you.
yeah, very good. Thank you, Glenn. So, Alderman, the recommendation is to approve on first reading the ordinance amending the general fund, drug fund, and solid waste fund budget for the fiscal year 2020, 2021.
So moved.
And a motion to approve from Alderman Countermine,
Second, Mayor.
second from Alderman Dixon. Any other discussion? Call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
Alderman Callahan.
Aye.
Alderman Causey.
Ah,
Motion carried. All right, next item on the agenda is a discussion of possible action concerning approval of the JRT Board of Directors request for an amendment to the 2009 JRT operating agreement. That kind of comes into play with some of our performances having to move to Elizabethton. Normally the way the split goes to the town is 25 goes to the director, 25 to the JRT, and then the town gets 50% of the proceeds. But now we got Elizabethton involved, and they need something as well. So you see the write-up on that. It's now changing to a 25, 30% to the town of Jonesborough and 20% to the Bonnie Cake Theater, which seems reasonable. But and I'm sure that'll revert back whenever we get them back here at the JRT. Glenn.
So as far as in the write-up, I do want to, instead of the word amendment, to change that to an exception, to basically approve an exception to the operating agreement. And as part of the agenda, I did talk about it being a one-time ask for the Sound of Music at the Bonnie Cake.
All right, I agree with that. So now it's, instead of amending our operating agreements, it's going to be making an exception to it. Any discussion on that, Alderman?
Good idea.
Yeah, I think so too. And we just got to get them back into our JRT, and I think Craig and Em's going to get that open and going before long. So, get a motion to approve that recommendation.
I make a motion that, as he said, it's a one-time thing, and that's for the Sound of Music.
Very good.
Second.
Got a motion from Alderman Causey, and you got a second from Alderman Countermine. Any discussion on that, Alderman? I call for vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Callahan.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
Aye.
All right, motion carried. Now we're on to our last item agenda, and it's an important one. It's to set discussion and possible action concerning selection of the general contractor on the Jonesborough K-8 school project. And we had a good little meeting about 4 o'clock down at the Visitor Center with some of the school board members and members of the design committee. They got the chance to ask the town. Mr. Browning's doing a great job of asking him some questions, and Tommy Burleson was there answering some questions, and he's here tonight to kind of answer some of your questions if you have some. This is another project that Mayor Granny's been involved in as well, and we appreciate his participation, helping shepherd this thing through. All right, Tommy, tell us who we're selecting here.
Okay, well, good evening, thank you for the opportunity to be here. We went through the request for proposal process. That's the request for proposal. We had four contractors reply to it. And the way this thing is set up, they're graded on qualification and experience, the technical side, and the cost side. The cost side is 30% of the total deal. The qualifications and experience, there's 5 evaluators independently looked at them and graded them. And the sheets that y'all got there, the evaluators numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it was myself, Glenn, Ken Ross, the architect, Kelly Wolf, and
Greg Matherly.
Greg Matherly, right. The people that did the grading know what their number is. Nobody else did because we mixed them all up to keep it completely above board. At the end of the first day, J.A. Street out of Blumpville was ahead by 1 point. And when the costs were open the next day, which is a completely separate operation, Burwell came in, their fee and everything, put them in the first place. Caldwell Construction out of Kentucky was second place, Street third place, and Cleveland out of Charlotte was fourth place. So just the process has worked. It's our recommendation that you follow the results of the process and select Burwell. What you're doing with this is allowing Burwell to start their pre-construction fee was $10,000. That's basically the money you're committing tonight, so $10,000. Because the contract is such, they go through the pre-construction process. Their job is to get it within the budget or come back and say what the budget is. And it can be terminated. If we can't get it within the budget, it can be terminated and all you're out is $10,000. So you're not committing to $28 million right now. So it'll take about, the drawings are about 75% done. It'll take another 4 to 6 weeks to get the drawings and the guaranteed maximum price numbers back. Our goal on that is then to get an early grading package out. I did hear back from Matt at Rural Development between these meetings we were just in and this one.
Yeah.
And
He must have known we was talking about him.
everything is good. And I'm going to read this to you so I don't mess this up, okay? Because he says he's received everything, but with their government computers, they cannot use Dropbox, so we've got to resend. We sent everything that they needed. Everything he needs is there. He just can't open it, so we're going to send it another way tomorrow. And basically, tonight, it needs to be noted in your all's minutes, if y'all approve this, that the town Board of Mayor and Aldermen needs to identify their approval conditional upon USDA Rural Development Funding Agency concurrence, and then please provide the draft minutes from the meeting when available for rural development to file for the town approved. And once that's done, it'll take him no time to do it. He has also said that he is, depending on how the GMP part does, we might be able to break out an early grading package to get started on the grading to try to hit the good time of the weather. He has no problem with that. We just have to write and request that once we get into the process, which we can take care of. So the committee that did all this recommends y'all consider Burwell Construction with the USDA's concurrence after this.
All right, thanks, Tommy. I think one thing that was, one of the more impressive things was we had really 4 really quality contractors, bidding on the project. Burwell has done some great work around here, and so has J.A. Street. But then what I researched about Codell and Cleveland, they both have done impressive projects. So we had 4 really quality contractors wanting to do this project. So we appreciate you and Clark Nexton and Ken Ross and group from reaching out to some good ones.
There were any of the 4 to do that.
Yeah. Well, Alderman, you got any questions or Mr. Burleson, or any comments about the project? We like he said, we're committing like $10,000, which I guess was really reasonable compared to, I think one of the contractors was over $100,000.
Cleveland's $100,000.
Yeah. So 10,000 is reasonable. I think somebody might have been 0, but we don't want 0. Yeah. But
I've never seen a spread like that.
Yeah.
0 to 100. So.
yeah. So I know that Mayor Grandy. Joe, would you like to say anything? He's had some experience, I think, with working with Burwell, and
I can, there's not a whole lot to add when the colonel's here, telling you all that these are good people. But we worked with Burwell on the Boone's Creek School. They're really an outstanding contractor. They're very well organized internally. The information they provide is timely and accurate. They have a lot of in-house capabilities in terms of their design and the way that they work with their subcontractors. I've had the pleasure to work with this contractor for over 3 decades. They bring aboard the best subcontractors, which is really important in a construction project. Not just the general contractor, but also the subcontractors they use. And I would just say that with the exception of Burleson Construction, they've been my favorite contractor.
thank you, Joe. Well, Alderman, this is another step in the path towards a new school for our community. Any discussion on this proposal?
Motion to approve.
All right, we got a motion to approve from Alderman Callahan.
Second.
Second from Alderman Countermine to approve Burwell as a contractor for this project, and this will be somewhat like a marriage. We'll get in, start discussing stuff and see if we can, between the two of us, get it to a price that we all can live with. And that process starts now. So we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion, Alderman?
Mayor, we need to make sure for the minutes and for the recording that we've made that conditional upon the USDA rural development approval.
Yep. Stephen, is your motion that the subject to the rural development approval?
Yes, sir.
And Terry, is that good on your second? Is that good enough, Jim?
Yes, sir.
All right. Call for the vote, Madam Recorder.
Alderman Callahan.
Aye.
Alderman Countermine.
Aye.
Alderman Causey.
Aye.
Alderman Dixon.
All right, motion carried, and we've got us a contractor now, and I'll see Mr. Irvin Keith's here from the school board. He was present today at 4 o'clock, but, school board members asked some great questions, and I think it's encouraging right now. But, last year, 2020, the pandemic created some challenges you didn't expect in 2019, but, hey, if anybody can tackle that, Washington County can, so we'll get to work on it.